Everybody, good evening. You are now listening, watching Dre with Dre, either on the Two-Getherness podcast, on Get Vocal, on YouTube, or on Facebook. So much for watching. I really appreciate your support, your input, and being with me as I just help people out. See, my passion is just to be there for people, to help people out, and share whatever it is that I learned in hopes that it could help you out. I was in a position a couple of years ago where I was unfortunately headed for divorce, and I didn't know how to get myself out of it. And I want to be able to help people that was in that kind of position, that was in that kind of state. I want to be able to help people come out of that kind of setting. And so what I did, got my master's in marriage and family counseling, said, you know what? I am going to help couples out. I don't pretend to have all the answers because I don't. And anyone that says they have all the answers, do not. That's my son. He's making a lot of noise. And check this out. My son didn't come out of his room for 3 hours straight. The minute I start this, he wants to come out of his room. So, gentlemen, Gabriel, seriously, let me just finish this, okay? You want to come say hi? I'll let him come say hi, but then I need to get started. Say hi.
Hello, peoples.
All right. Hey, everybody that is now watching live on Facebook, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today's topic, what to do when love grows cold. What to do when love grows cold. And that happens a lot in relationships when at one point two individuals was, hey, Jada, what's going on? Jada's watching on Get Vocal. If you're more than welcome to sometime throughout the show to come on in and join me in the conversation. But what tends to happen in relationships and marriages and things like that is that passion that couples once had, they no longer have. What's going on, Mr. Jackson? What's going on, bro? How's it going? Oh, and they're shouting you out. Okay. So I kid you not, he hasn't left his room. Has not left his room. And the second I start doing this, and he knows I do it every Thursday, 8 o'clock, he wants to come out of his room now. All right. So, but seriously, son, this is what happens when you're a single father and you got things to do. What's up, Gigi? How you doing, Gigi? All right. Oh wait, that's our thing. So I need you to hurry up, Papa, because I'm gonna be talking about some really serious things that may be too mature for your ears. Okay.
The next topic.
Hurry up. Let's go. Hurry up. All right. It's mature for his ears. But I close your brother's door because you know he's not feeling well. All right. Yeah, my other son is not feeling well too. He's been sick for the past couple of days. He's been out all week from school, and the doctor gave him a note saying that he can't go back to school until next year. This means January 2nd, 2019. So I'm going to try to get started, but I really don't want my son to listen to this because I may be sharing some things about my personal life and how my marriage grew cold. But I need for him to go in his room. Okay, I kid you not. Like he hasn't left his room, and the second I start this, I know he wants my attention. He had like 3 hours to have my attention. Facebook, YouTube, 3 hours, and he hasn't come out. All right, love you. All right, now let's get real. He's in his room. Let's get real. Let's get intimate. Let's get into this. All right. So before I get started with the topic, stop laughing on Facebook. It's not funny. All right. So before I get into this topic, there's multiple ways for you guys to view this or listen to this. You're watching live now, so you know about that through Facebook, YouTube, and Get Vocal. If you're watching on Facebook, thank you so much. Also, I have a YouTube channel. I have my first YouTube channel is my vlog with my kids. It's called Harrison Family Vlogs. I would greatly appreciate it if you go there and subscribe. You can watch a little bit about my life with my kids, get to know us, and join our family in that sense. I also have an elementary school teacher vlog. You could just type that in the YouTube search. And I also have what's called Two-Getherness Marriage Coaching. It's TWO, Getherness Marriage Coaching. And if you search that on YouTube, you can subscribe there also. I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Also, you can listen on Spotify, iTunes, and a couple of other podcasts, Google Play, and a couple of other podcast outlets after tomorrow, because tonight I'll be editing it, the audio, and then putting it up. All right. So let's get into the topic. I'm going to have a sip of my, tonight I'm drinking coffee. It's either ginger tea or coffee. Tonight I'm drinking coffee, especially after the day I had. Right, Gigi? All right. So let's get started. What to do when love grows cold? It's a natural, I won't say a natural, but it's a part of relationships and marriages for things to get complacent, for things to get comfortable, and two individuals just start existing together. It doesn't even feel like a marriage anymore. It's more like a partnership, roommates, not even friends with benefits, just roommates with benefits. You do your thing, I do my thing. And every now and then when we get the itch, we come together and we scratch that itch. And I know that's not how marriage, not how relationships are supposed to be. And let's discuss today some of those things that causes love to grow cold, because it happens. It happens to the best of people, the best of relationships. And sometimes we need to be proactive in making sure that those our relationships get the attention it needs so that we can fix those things, because it's not going to just fix by itself. You have to be proactive in trying to fix your marriage, proactive in trying to fix your relationships. It's not just going to happen because you will it to happen. You need to want it to happen. So today, I'm hoping to give you guys some tips to apply, things that I've learned in school, things that I've researched, things that actually work. And these are things that I wish people told me when I was going through my situation, when I was going through my divorce. When you go through a situation like a divorce and you feel like you're alone, it's hard. It's hard because the person that you are with, the person you're supposed to be doing life with, is no longer desiring to either do life with you, or love grew cold and you just don't know how to fix it. Today, hopefully I can add some insight and help you fix your relationship. Or if you find that it's getting there, to help you, or if you're there and you just want more passion in your marriage, try to do these things. Now let's talk about some of the causes that makes couples go into that phase where the love grows cold. All right. And if you have any questions or comments about this, please feel free to add it on Facebook, add it on YouTube, hit me up on Get Vocal. Now, if you are watching through Facebook or YouTube and you want to get actually in the discussion and you have a webcam and a microphone or whatever, I'm going to type in the link for you so that you can join us live. Like you could actually be on the show live. All right. So here it is. If you want to, please let me know. You can click that link and get into it. Somebody has a question already. Hold on one second. I have to adjust. When does it your turn, you're doing too much, or you're asking for it? Does that mean it's not meant to be, or it's not meant to be fixed? So what does it mean? Wait, when does it turn into, when does it turn into you're doing too much or you're asking for a lot? Does that mean it's not meant to be, or it's not meant to be fixed? Any relationship could be fixed. And a couple of things that you got to ask yourself. What's going on, Mighty Soul? How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. Thank you for joining in. But let me just answer this person's question. So if you find that you're doing too much for the person that you're in a relationship with, and it's things that is it really a lot to do? Then you got to question if that person is the person you should be in a relationship with. If you feel like the effort that you're putting in is too much, then maybe to you, that person isn't the person that needs to be matched up with you. Or if you're asking for a lot, that is a time for self-reflection. You could be asking for a lot. You could be asking for way too much before it's supposed to be asked. So there's levels to relationships. A lot of times we go into relationships and we just want to go into, being husband and wives without actually being husband and wives. Take time to grow, get to know who you are, get to know who the other person is, and get to know who both of you guys are going to be in the relationship, and let that grow. People are different. And if it takes there being a separation in a relationship, especially before marriage, as mature adults, that's something that has to be considered, because not everybody is for everybody. Compatibility is important. And if you find yourself doing too much, and you're thinking that it's too much, or you're expecting too much from the other person and they feel like it's too much, maybe you guys aren't compatible. And maybe it's time to part ways as consenting, mature adults, feelings, and find somebody that you can be compatible with. All right. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mighty Soul?
A little. So if it's one person thinks it's too much, as opposed to, so who was thinking it's too much? Is it the person? I know it's a. Yeah. Is it the person who wants to not be in the relationship, or the person who's like, hey, I want to be in this relationship, I'm giving my all? Because I think then the perspective is different. Because if you're giving a lot to the relationship because you're trying to make it work, then it's a different story from the person who doesn't want to be in the relationship, and it's like, you're doing too much, get away from me. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I said that it has to do with how you feel about the person in the relationship. If you feel like, if I'm in love with somebody, right, and it gets to the point where I feel like I'm doing too much for the person I really love, I have to ask myself, well, is this person the person I really need to be with if I feel like I'm doing too much? Because when you're in a relationship and you want to make that connection and you want to build a life with somebody, there should not be this thinking that I'm doing too much for that person.
Right.
If there is, then you got to reflect on yourself and say, you know what, maybe this person isn't the right one for me because they're not bringing that out of me. Like, I care for them. I may even have feelings of love for them, but if I'm not, or it could be that and I'll say it like this. It could be that you want to do those things for them, but you're doing it beyond your means and it's causing stress in the relationship because you want to be that person. You want to do those things. You just don't have the means to do it. Then you could feel like you're doing too much. But I guess you got to reflect on where you are in life and who that person is to you in a relationship. And if they're asking a lot from you, you really got to ask yourself if that's the case. Yeah. And I think that, and I think a lot of times we look at breakups as a bad thing. Breakups, they're not bad things. It's not bad. It isn't actually. Like, if you could break up with somebody mutually and maturely, then you guys win. There's a win, period. I'm saying this in scenario, doing too much in a sense of trying to mend things. Okay, if you're doing too much to try to mend things or make things work. Jada says she agreed. If you feel like you're doing too much to try to mend things or make things work, that's hard. That's hard for me to address, because then I would have to ask, what are you mending? What broke that you have to mend it? And what work are you doing to mend it? Because if you tell me what work you're doing to mend it, that can probably be a good gauge to assume what you did to break it. But if you're trying to make things work and trying to build up passion, that's why I want to talk to you guys, because I have some things that will help you. Rekindle that fire, that passion in your relationship. All right. But let's talk about some of the causes first. You could sound like Marisol, right? And anybody else, if you have any questions on Facebook, YouTube, get vocal, join in the conversation. I love to talk about this kind of stuff. So one of the reasons I'm going to list to you guys is not in any particular order. It can happen in any which way. But one of the things that really can cause love to grow cold is loss of commitment. Loss of commitment is one of those things that, what's up, boss? Loss of commitment is one of those things that can cause love to grow cold. When people feel like they don't want to be with that person, the commitment starts to stray, and they allow themselves to pull away emotionally from the relationship, and they become literally and figuratively, in a sense, cold emotionally to the person that they committed to at one point in their life. That's why commitment is a very difficult thing. In marriage vows, a lot of people say in their commitment and their vows to one another, for better, for worse, for richer or poorer, sickness and health. That's indicating a commitment that goes beyond the feeling of love, that goes to saying, no matter what happens in our life, I am going to ride with you till I die or till you die. That's what commitment is. And when that commitment starts to fade, then people start to grow cold. So that's one cause. It's not the cause, but it's one of the causes. What do you guys think about that? Oh, by the way, Jada, Marisol, Jada. Marisol's a teacher in New York. We're in the fellows program together.
I see New York up there, so New York.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I think there's a lot of different scenarios on why a relationship does and can get cold. Excuse me too. I'm a little under the weather. But I think when you spend enough time with someone, there's a lot of reasons why a relationship can get cold, you know, during a regular dating relationship, during a marriage. It could be, you know, so many different reasons why that is. And I think when it comes to getting back to as far as just like rekindling things, I think that takes time. I think it takes both parties. I think it takes a lot of work and energy from both people, depending on what they want to do with it. You know, I think when it's one-sided, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, but I think there's a lot of different reasons why a relationship gets cold. I think, you know, after a while, somebody gets on your nerves. Like when you're in a marriage, literally when you're in a marriage or even a long-term relationship, you go in and out of love. So, you know, I think it's natural you could love someone. As far as being in love with someone, that's going to happen throughout time. It's going to be in and out throughout your years. Yeah. So that's a natural thing.
We don't like anyone for long periods of time straight consecutively. Like, you know, some people get on our nerves and then they don't. Yeah, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that. Yeah. What about you, Marisol? What do you think?
So, I agree with that whole in and out thing. What I don't agree with, though, is, and bear with me, I'm in the car in front of the high school. Hi. It's not. I don't think it's that you fall out of love with them and you're in and out of love with them. I think you're like of them as a person, because you can, as you said before, Jada, you can love someone and not be in love with them. But if you're not in love with them, is it truly love?
Well, then that's when we go into the definition of love.
Yeah,
right? That. So we could touch that real quick, but that's a deep conversation as well. That takes a lot of unpacking. So maybe I'll have that be one of the topics. Yeah. So Leah Brown says, my old partner always says couples change and forget to tell each other. Yeah, and that happens too. When people evolve, people grow, the characteristics change, the experiences cause them to change.
Well, I agree with that statement. I think I don't know if it's necessary where the partner forgets to tell the other one that they're changing or notice it. I think you should notice, you know what I mean? If you are really entwined and you're really connected with one another, I think that will be, I think that goes without saying, you know, we're forever evolving. So I would hope that someone that I met 10 years ago and that I'm in a relationship with is definitely not going to be the same person. I would hope that you're not, because I'm not going to be. I'm growing. I'm growing each and every day. So that being said, I would hope that we are all growing and evolving, and our relationship is doing that as well. And that being said, I think with time and effective communication, I think that helps with that. You know what I mean? I feel like it helps with, oh, okay, I see that you don't like doing this anymore. Well, what do you like doing instead? You know, I see that you found a new interest. Oh, you know what? Maybe we could do that together. I think it's when you know your partner and realizing that certain things are changing about them and going along with that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Shanita?
Can I chime in?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's awesome right there. I'm gonna be like, okay, yes, that's awesome. I think if you are an effective partner, you are going to notice that change, and you're going to be like, hey, what's going on? If you are too wrapped up in yourself and not in your relationship, like last week's episode was not to lose yourself in the relationship. But if you get too caught up in yourself and you forget about that other half of your relationship, I think that's when you don't notice the changes going on, and you don't notice that they have evolved, and it becomes, well, you're not the same person I used to know, but you were too caught up in yourself to realize that I was here and things went differently as time went on. Make sense?
Yeah. I see you. I follow you. Yeah.
And that's where that to come in. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, I wanted to read a comment from Shanita. Shanita says, the word love has been so romanticized, and for her, love is an action word. Chemistry and love are not the same thing. And she brings up a good point too. We use in the American language, we use love for everything that we are, that we have some kind of fondness to. We love our children. We love our cars. I love my camera. I love this light shining on me. You know, I love your hair. You know, I love that you're outside at a high school waiting for your kids. Like, I love all those things. So we definitely have romanticized that, and we put. So when we say love, that's why I was saying, like, when we talk about love, we have to unpack that, and it's not just like a quick conversation, like a quick blurb that we can talk about. We can touch on it, but I definitely want to try to stay on task when it comes to what to do when love grows cold. And both of us, me and Marisol, have been in a situation where we're divorced, and you, Jada, are in a situation where you're married now, and there's some things that newly married. Yeah. Yep. I knew Jada when she wasn't married, and we got close, became friends, and I watched her relationship, blossom, and had a chance to meet her husband when she visited Staten Island one time.
It's funny because we weren't together. Like, him and I weren't together. We were just friends. And so, yeah.
So, and you guys grew. So
exactly. I was about to say, so I think I definitely still have a lot to learn, because I'm pretty sure I'm younger than you guys. And so that being said, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that, I obviously have to learn and grow, but that's just how I think my outlook on it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to love, being in love and loving someone, I think for me, it's different.
Yeah.
And I agree with, in this country, the way we define love, it's like you said, we love everything,
And a lot of it has to do with us.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with what we feel and how we feel about something. This makes me feel happy, so I love it. So let's move on to the next thing that may cause love to grow cold. Loss of passion. You know what happens when married couples, they get past that 3-year, 4-year period They get comfortable with one another. I'm gonna say it. They start smelling each other's gases, and it's no longer like you know, wow, yeah, like look, yeah, wow, like now you know who this person is. You've seen them without makeup, without their weaves. You know, you woke up next to them and they're breathing good morning, and their breath is hot. Like all that stuff is gone now. All that euphoric stuff. So Google Gaga over is now gone.
Mhm.
With that, loss of passion happens. And married couples, they get so comfortable with one another, and they feel so safe that they feel like I can be me, and this person will love me for me, and that may be right. But keeping the passion in a marriage, keeping the passion in a relationship is vital to being vibrant, to maintaining growth, and not allowing the love to grow cold. You know, you may still like love somebody, but the passion is gone. Passion is like that fire that lights up a relationship. And if you guys can maintain that passion, maintain that fire, you know, when baby girl's doing the dishes, you know, get behind her real close, you know, kiss her really sweetly on the neck, you know, and as you walk away and she turns around, just throw a wink at her, you know, and go your way. You know, your husband is about to take out the garbage, and he bends over to pick up a can that he dropped as he's putting it into the recycling bag. You pinch his butt and say, I still like that cute little butt you got. Like, maintain the passion. You know, it's got to happen in the relationship, especially in a marriage. Shanita wrote, you have to continue to choose your spouse every day. Very true. And Joshua, every day. And Joshua wrote, pride can become a hindrance in growth and compromise. Very true.
And
very true.
I think pride and ego.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about the passion?
So passion.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. Passion, I think if you can keep something new or something different every day, something you find something to appreciate in that person every day, you can keep that passion just as new as it was the first 6 months of that honeymoon phase. Like you said, you know, you going up, you're pinching his butt, and you're like, oh, I like that. Or something stupid, like, you know, so even I have friends who have date nights on the regular, even though they've been married 26 years. Because they say that's what keeps us together all these years, is that we still act like newlyweds. And that's key. Don't get so comfortable and old that you get comfortable and old. Get comfortable and old with each other, but still keep things newlywed style.
I was watching a video, right, of this old couple. And I love this video so much. I think they were a married couple, right? And they're older. They had to be in like late 70s, maybe even in the 80s. And he's sitting down in like a chair, like about my height, like this chair, like a bar stool type of chair. And his wife was hugging him. And this old guy is rubbing his wife's butt, you know, in public, just loving her, you know. But I think no matter how old you get, you got to maintain that passion. It's gotta stick. It's gotta stay. Shanita wrote, staying connected and maintaining intimacy starts outside of the bedroom. And that's also important as well. You know, being intimate and making that connection and keeping things alive, not just in the bedroom, but outside the bedroom also. You know, sending flirtatious texts. I like to call those making deposits in the bank for nightly withdrawals, you know. You know, things like that. Maintain passion, do things like that. What do you think, Jada?
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys are saying, but it's like let's get down to the real nitty gritty, right? Yeah. So how do you have all that passion and, you know, you want to do all these things and be cute and stuff like that with your significant other and your spouse when, let's say that you guys just got into an argument. Let's say that, you know, there's something that's bugging you. You know, I think that's what people tend to miss. I think because they don't know how to communicate effectively, right? When they get into arguments and they get into these disagreements and stuff like that, And that's what it's the ego. Just like I think one of your followers on Facebook said, it's like the ego, it's the pride, it's all of that, whatever. And I think that's what hinders a relationship from continuing to grow when it's cold, right? And then people stay in that space, and that's what it's like. How do I move on? How do we move on from that particular area where we're in a like run, where it's like everything you do is getting on my nerves.
So it's
the sight of you getting on my nerves.
So breaking that pride helps maintain passion.
I would hope so. Exactly. I think so. Because again, if we had just gotten to a disagreement or you did something that I disliked, in that moment, I think when we take our ego and our pride aside and we put it aside, I think it's like, okay, like, what are we really disagreeing on? What are we arguing about? So I think, it helps us to be able to move on from the issue at hand. And it's just like, there's bigger fish to fry.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. So I think that's a great point too. It's hard to maintain passion when you just got into an argument or you're angry with the person that you're married to. It definitely is. Definitely is. Another thing is, I'm gonna skip a couple of things for the sake of time, because I do want to get into tips to help with it. But I will mention this. You don't have this yet, Jada, but children, when married couples get married, they're married couples. But when they have children, they stop being married couple and start being parents. And I have to say this, you are a married couple before you are parents. This is not, some people may disagree, but if you are a married couple and you have children, you're still a married couple with children.
Wait, repeat that.
All right. Some people say, some people think that once they have children, the children is like, I'm a parent, I need to focus on my kids. And couples may go into go into parenthood thinking that. But couples need to remember that when you get married, you're a married couple. When you have children, you're a married couple with children. You don't go from being a married couple to being parents. Okay. You're a married couple and you have children. Don't let children interrupt the passion in your marriage, and don't let the children allow you to grow cold toward one another. And that happens a lot in marriages. That's why, and we have this thing where people say, I don't feel connected with this person anymore, but I have kids and I'm only with my spouse because of my kids. You've really taken a stance to say, I'm no longer a married couple. I'm a parent and I'm only in this for my kids. You got to find a way to rekindle that marriage. You got to find a way to make that marriage stronger, because trust me, it'll benefit your children more seeing you guys happy as a married couple, or having struggles, but getting through it together as a team, than just living life apart from one another, but living together for the sake of the kids. Don't do that. You guys have to make sure that you keep the marriage alive, especially after the kids, All right. And one of the beautiful things about having older children is that if you do it right and you play your cards right, your older children will help you increase the passion in your marriage. Let me explain. Okay, I just can't have my kids hear this. You see, the older one, right? The older one. Come a little closer, guys. Come, yeah. So the older one, right? When he's about like 9 years old, right? You let him hang out in the bedroom with the little bro or the little sis for a little while. Even say, hey, play your video games, but have you take the walker and go inside with your brother and sister. Watch your older brother play video games for a little bit, or do her makeup or whatever. I gotta bring you about it. Right? And then what happened? Wait, she's talking to somebody else. So and when that happens, you guys go into the bedroom real quick, right? And just enjoy one another. Okay? Like when you have older kids, all right, and you play your cards right, that can be a huge asset to help you get. Ever. I'm telling you, man. Trust me.
I have
I just
16-year-old
can't.
with a 4-year-old. Best thing ever.
See, I'm telling you. So just because you become a parent doesn't mean that you stop being a married couple. Still, okay? Yeah.
I always
Right.
say, like, I know with my husband and I, we always say, like, when we do decide to have a child or children, we always say it's us first. Because if we're not good, we can't be good. So we always say, like, it has to be good with us. Like, you know, we come first. And I know a lot of parents don't like to hear that, and just like you said. And I think it's because we were here before. We were here before they came. And granted, they cannot survive without us, but we have to always be good. We have to be good.
They wouldn't be alive without you. And that's the whole thing. Not only can they survive.
And that's what I always say. I just never understand like people that get wrapped up in their child or children so much. And it's just like, how do you forget the partner that you made this and you created this child with, or children? Like, in order for that to have happened, we had to create this beautiful thing together. So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just you. It was a together thing. So I think, we always say that. We, like my husband and I, we're just like, it's us no matter what. Like, you know what I mean? I know, again, a lot of mothers don't want to hear that, but it's true.
Yeah. And these are things that I wish I knew 10 years ago. Like, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. All right. So I do have a couple other things that could be causes. I'm just going to read them off, but we're not going to touch on those. We're going to talk about tips after this. But change in responsibility, like at work, getting a promotions, having more time at work, that can help. That can cause love to grow cold. Selfishness is definitely a cause, and family stress. When the family's stressed out, you guys will be stressed out financially or whatever kind of stress there is. Thanks, Leah. Thank you so much, Leah. I appreciate that. So now let's go into tips. Okay. We have about 23 minutes left. I want to make sure that I'm off this so that I can tune into a different show on this platform. But one of the things that can help people in their marriages and relationships moving into marriage is reframing your marital story. All right, redefine it. Like, so if let's go back to where we were when we first got married. How did we feel? What was the reason why what was the reason we decided to get married? Let's go back to that point. Let's go back to the foundation. Let's go back to the nitty-gritty and say, I know right now we can't stand each other. Right now, I can't even stand the sight of you. But let me go back and think about why I was attracted to you in the first place, why I thought that you would make a good husband, that you would make a good wife. And let's start there again. Let's go back and let's start making a new story for us once again. Let's reframe our marital story. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Be a little deep.
That is deep. It is pretty deep.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning, being who you are, but still being able to go back to the beginning and rebuild it, put it back together again, better. It's that's deep.
Yeah. And
it takes effort.
It does take effort. It does take effort. And that is one of the hardest things that couples will probably have to do. One of the hardest things, because that's not like a quick fix. You may have, 10, 15 years of built up resentment toward your spouse. All right. It's not going to, that built up resentment is not going to go away just because you remembered why you married the person. All right. That's why I'm saying reframing it. So you start off there and then start to rebuild on that, and then hopefully get to a better place in your marriage. Now, these tips will work for some. It may not work for all. All right. But that's one of the things that could help. Another thing is identify yourself as a couple. Last week, we talked about knowing who you are, not losing your identity in a marriage, but couples also have somewhat of an identity. I know couples, when I see them, I know them as a particular type of couple. So what type of couple do you want to be? How do you see yourselves as a married couple? And try to identify yourself find out who you are in that married space with your spouse. Next thing, my mother just tuned in. I need to be a good boy now. Hi, mommy. All right. Next, create a vision for your marriage. It starts with reframing it. Create a vision for your marriage. Here's what people don't do. They find somebody that they marry, that they love, that they like. They grow to love that person. They choose to marry that person. And then they go into that marriage without having a clear vision of what that marriage is going to be like. They go in and say, you know, I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to love this person forever. We're going to have kids. We're going to buy a house and leave it at that. But they don't really think about the process of marriage, what it takes to be married, and creating a vision for marriage. And it's important for couples to do that. Let me create a vision for this marriage. Let me sit down with this person I'm going to marry before we get married, and let's talk about the vision for our marriage and holding on to that vision. There's an amazing saying in the Bible that says, without vision, the people perish. If you don't have a vision for your marriage is probably going to perish. And we don't want that to happen. So there should be vision for your marriage. You should be able to see great things for your marriage. If you live every day like, you know, hey, I'm living with this person right now, this person is making me happy. You really don't have a strong vision. Build a strong vision for your marriage. Hold on. Let me get a sip of this. You guys get more than welcome to chime in. I know I'm talking a lot. I would like to hear your input. What do you think, Jada?
No, I like that. I think that I completely agree with that. I think you sitting down and having a vision together makes sense, you know, because there's a clear vision, right, of what you guys want to accomplish together, what you want your lives to look like together in the future. It's literally just going in with a plan, and planning is always good, it's productive. I think it's moving in the right direction. So I actually like that.
Yeah. What about you, Marisol? Let's hear your view, because you have a lot of great insight too. What do you think?
I think going into something, knowing what your end game is going to be.
That's teacher talk. That's that teacher talk right there. Like we plan for that. Like we know the outcome, and then we plan to achieve that outcome. Stop being a teacher. Good grief. That teacher talk.
And if you're going to sit down with your significant other and be like, listen, you know, my goal is to die loving you. And okay, so this is how we're going to do it. And then you set upon making it happen. I think that's a freaking awesome thing to do.
Yeah. And reverting back to that vision. Babe, you remember when we sat down and we said to look like? Do you think it's starting to look like that? I don't think so. What things can we do right now to make that vision come true? What can we do together to see the vision that we have for our marriage come to pass? Shanita wrote, most people wing it. Having a vision is imperative, especially if you desire your wife to submit to your leadership. Yeah, and if you're a strong man and you show that leadership, you got to have vision. Absolutely, Shanita. Yeah.
I think a lot of people do.
Go ahead, Jada.
No, I was going to say, I agree with that. I think a lot of people just wing it. Like, you know, whatever feels right in the moment. And I think they just kind of go along with the flow. It's like whatever makes sense to them in that moment. And they're in a groove and they just continue in that hope. And they literally, I think they just hope for the best. Yeah. And they just kind of wing it. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. You're hoping for the best is nice, but planning for the best is better. All right. Next, responding to one another with love and grace. Say that again.
She's gonna ask something.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Marisol. I think we lost her. She must have AT&T.
Whoa! I have AT&T also.
Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm sorry.
Nonsense. Right?
Sprint.
What is that? Wait. Oh, okay. But I'm about to say Sprint.
All right. I have T-Mobile. T-Mobile is nice and looking. No, I don't have Verizon. I don't have Verizon money. I'm a new teacher. All right. When she comes back, we'll touch on it. I think she's frozen right now. And that's a pretty awkward picture, and people are going to be rewatching that. So I'm sorry, Marisol, and I can't do anything to edit that awkward face you have. I'm sorry. All right. I think she's back. I want to give her time before I move on to the next topic or the next tip. Hey, you're back.
I back?
Yeah. Okay, now you're here.
Everything I hear refers back to being a good communicator. What happens if you're an ineffective communicator?
Then you got to work on being a better communicator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like now, and that's easier said than done. Some people who think that they're great communicators aren't. Because they can talk. People can talk. They can talk the real with the best of people, but they don't like listening to the real. You know, great communicators do more than just talk. They listen. You know, they listen, they assess, and then they respond appropriately. So if couples can do that, you know, then they'll be able to revert back to the vision of their marriage, be able to discuss it and see what they need to do to have that vision come true. Yeah, good stuff. Was that good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next, respond to one another with grace and love. With grace and love, and this is hard, because when somebody hurts us, it's not our first response to operate in grace and love. We want to get hot, we want to get angry, we want to get vengeance, and that's one thing that helps people feel better about themselves. Vengeance, like they want to get the person back. They want to make that person feel what they're feeling at that moment. No, you cannot cuss out your husband, or at least you should not.
Yeah.
But responding with grace and responding with love, because let's be real, if you did something to offend your spouse, wouldn't you feel better if they responded with grace and love? The thing about grace and love is this, right? Especially if you claim to love the person. Let's say I offended my wife. I did something, and let's not even go as far as cheating. All right. Let's say it's normal for me to call my spouse if I'm going to be home late from work. Let's say that, right? And let's paint out this true, possible true scenario, right? Let's say I usually call my spouse if I'm late from work, and let's say that I don't have access to a landline, and my cell phone died, and the wire on my cell phone is broken, so it doesn't charge my phone, and I can't call her to tell her I'm going to be late. And then I'm usually home at 5:30, but I get home at 7:15. Okay, I get in the house, right? And she's hot and angry. Where were you? What were you doing? I was worried. You should have called. Da, 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 all that stuff and flipping out. My response would probably be, what do you mean? You don't appreciate me? I'm working. I'm out there working hard. I had to stay late and you don't care. You're yelling at me, you know, because that's what we want to do. Like, we're going to keep going back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. But responding in grace would sound something like this. Babe, I understand that you're upset. I apologize. I wanted to call you. I was unable to call you. And I see why you're upset, because if I was in the same situation, I would probably be upset and worried too. I'm sorry. I would try my hardest not to have that happen again. But if my phone, my wire is broken, I'm going to buy a new wire so that it doesn't happen again. But please accept my apology. If I was in the same situation as you, I would be upset too. I'm sorry. We don't usually respond like that, do we?
No. And I think
we don't, right?
The more that you do respond like that, it diffuses the situation. Because we feed off of energy, right? So if you're coming in like calm like that, I think
I better find a payphone. That's funny. Somebody said you better
my initial response is literally like, you're calming me down in a sense, like, where, because that has happened where I'm like, why haven't you called me? You know, you're walking in here late. And I think that is true. Like, I think the way you respond will let me feed and bounce off of you, because you get hot and hot. Like if I'm already like hot and heavy when it comes to like me feeling some type of way, and then you come off real defensive, we're gonna go at it. We're gonna go back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree. I think coming in, hey Leah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. I think coming in like that, I think it does diffuse the situation. I'm just like, okay, just don't let it happen again. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so.
That scripture you just quoted is Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stirs up anger. Yep.
Yeah,
working on that. Yep. Okay. How you doing?
Hi. I thought your answer was really nice, but I wonder how many people can really
Thanks,
get
Shanita.
to that point and be that like nice in the midst of having that wrath. So I think it's also an obligation to the female to respect who you're married to and know that if something's going on that's different from the usual routine of what he usually does, something must be up. So, you know, come to him like your partner and friend and say, hey, you're a little late. What's up? I mean, you know, communication is real big, and it should be real easy between people who say they love each other and care for each other. So I just wanted to bring up that sometimes a man may not be able to pull that out when they're being attacked like that, because they may not all be calm and cool like that. So I think if we can start from the beginning, you know, anything that starts, you know, beautiful and could be cultivated from there is even better than diffusing something.
No, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I agree. That is good.
So, just put the chain on the door. That's
thing. If you set the standard from the beginning and you follow through always, it would help you with the rest of your life, so to speak. So if from the beginning you're both responsive and responding that way, in that, okay, you're coming at me, but babe, I love you, so I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to talk to you and let you see how it's irrational for you to come at me like that, and without calling them irrational, making them more irate. I think that sets the tone for the rest of the relationship, because you can both communicate on that level where even if one is irate, you're still like, all right,
a couple of comments on the Facebook.
Let's
Shanita
go.
wrote,
Let's talk about
that
this.
works
Let's
like
get
a
this
charm,
done,
Dre. LOL.
and let's move
It
forward.
could. Ideally, that would work. Monica writes, Dre, your answer is not the norm. Sounds cute though. We will be in the bedroom after that answer. Yeah, and that's the goal. Like, that's still all about putting deposits, you know, in that account to withdraw later on that night. So that's what it's about. That's what it's about. But again,
No, I was gonna say, Marisol, because wait, Leah, you're married, right?
No, I'm single.
No, you're not. Oh, okay, I'm sorry then. Right?
It's okay.
Because I thought I could have sworn like another show. Okay, forget about it. But Marisol and Dre, if you guys could have done things differently, if you don't mind, if you guys could have done things differently in your marriages, what would it have been that, you know, where you guys could have still been together? What could you?
Good question.
Because like, what made it so where it grew cold for you guys?
So I can go first, or you can go first. It's up to you.
Smiling.
All right, I'll go first. I'm going to say lack of quality time.
Go ahead, Dre.
I thought I loved my wife, love my family. One of the things that we stopped being a married couple and started being parents. We fell into that trap. Second is quality time. At the time when I was married, I was a full-time assistant pastor at a church, and it took a lot of my time. I was at the church all day Sundays. I had Monday off, but then every other Monday I had to go into church in the evenings for ministers' meetings and leadership meetings. I was at the church 9 to 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then Tuesday night I was at the church for prayer. Wednesday night I was at the church for Bible study. Thursday night I was at the church for worship practice. Friday I was at the church for youth. And Saturday, when there was a function at the church, I had to be there. I had no time for my wife. I had no time for my family. And that quality time suffered in our relationship. The time I spent at the church doing what I thought was like God's work, still neglecting my family, caused my wife to not see me as her husband anymore. And I didn't have men around me to tell me, Andre, you're working a lot, and I know you love your family, but you really need to stop being at the church so much. And it wasn't like my choice to have to be at the church. I was there because it was mandated according to my job description to be there. I had to be there. And it got to the point where I saw my marriage starting to suffer. And I met with my pastor and I said, listen, I'm here way too much. Like I'm literally there almost, 12 hours a day with maybe 2 hours in between to go home, see my family real quick, eat dinner, and then go back to the church. I need to stop doing so much here. And it got to a point where I went to him and I said, I can't be here all the time anymore. It's just not going to happen. But by that time, it was too late. By that time, my ex-wife checked out of the marriage. She was done. And I didn't have, like I said, men tell me, Andre, go there, go home. I had men in my life telling me, well, you're doing God's work, and she needs to understand that. That was the worst advice I ever got. And that's the worst advice that anybody can ever give. And I learned from that. I grew from that. And so for me, that's one thing that I feel like I could change. If, that would probably have my marriage go in a different direction. Now, mind you, and I was prideful. I had a lot of pride. I was a good husband. I was a godly man. I never cheated. I never touched my wife in a way to hurt her. I was an active and engaged father. I was taking my kids to school, picking them up at PTA meetings, all that stuff. And in my mind, I was like, what more can she ask for? And I allowed that pride to really blind me from seeing that I need to make sure that I do all these things to make my marriage work. And I didn't. And I feel like if I did, maybe it'll be different for me today. Hopefully that answered your question.
I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate that.
That was a very great answer.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Marisol, your turn.
Oh, yeah.
Unless she's stuck again. I think she's frozen. Again. That darn Sprint service, I tell you.
I heard you talking about AT&T.
Oh, both of you guys are AT&T?
I was like, you're not going to be talking about AT&T now.
I'm back.
Yeah. All right, you ready, Marisol? With all ears and eyes.
So I don't think anything would have been able to save mine. I don't think I'd still be with my children's father. Something I could have done differently, though I don't think it would have, like I said, I don't think it would have changed the outcome, is my way of expressing myself. I think I was a very angry person. And I was like the rest. When he
Sprint. Yeah, I hope she comes back soon. I want to try to end at 9:00 on the dot so that I don't interfere with what else is happening. Oh, she's coming back. I think. Yeah. All right, so that there's no dead air, I'll talk. But I do thank you guys for joining in, for coming in. Those listening. All right, we're going to give Marisol a chance to complete her thought if she can stay with us. I think I lost her again.
Okay.
We lost her again. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Jada, thank you so much for joining me. Leah, Marisol, I appreciate your input and the additions you made to this conversation. It's something that I think couples really need to self-assess and ask themselves, what is it in my marriage that's making it grow cold? Oh, thanks, Bobby. Thank you very much. And I think that if we can be reflective and humble and approach it that way, we'll be able to see our marriages grow into something that will blossom beautifully. All right. Hey, Marisol, you back with us?
I'm back.
All right. You want to try to
Hopefully.
you want to try to add your input before we close?
Yeah. So I was just saying, I think how I
We lost
respond,
her again.
how I talk.
We have to
No!
close. Yeah, we have to close. All right. So thank you, Jada. Have a good night. This is Rap with Dre. If you're listening to the Togetherness podcast, YouTube, Facebook, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be doing this every Thursday at 8 p.m. Next week is no different. Next week, we're going to be talking about, I'll tell you guys the topic right now. Give me 1 second. So you guys are, just wet your palate a little bit so that you know what we're going to be talking about. Next week, we're going to be talking about 5 things that will transform your marriage starting that day. So 5 things that will transform your marriage. Next Thursday, 8 p.m. on Get Vocal. Hey, how you guys doing? Sonia, I don't know your real name, so please, sorry. I hope J-Mog is okay. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah, I hope you can join us too. So 5 things that can help transform your marriage from the time we start. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. My hope is to really help relationships grow. Use my experience and the things that I've learned in my courses to help people out there grow their relationships. So I really do love you guys, and I want to see you guys love and live happily together and enjoy your life together. And that's TWOGETHER, together. All right.